inexplicably and still honestly to me very confusingly, they announced that there was a new Star Wars movie they were going to develop revolving around Rey. Now, again,
Rey?
just to be clear, not R-E-Y, not R-A-Y. I would go to that Star Wars movie
I would
all
watch the
day.
Rey Star Wars movie.
He's got some kind of force.
The blockade.
I hear it's perfectly legal.
We're back.
So, and listen, don't get me wrong. I very much like Daisy Ridley. And for the most part, not all of it, for the most part, I mean, I really liked Rey in Force Awakens. But, you know, here's the thing. You guys know how I feel about The Rise of Skywalker. But that aside, I think everybody agrees. Fans of the Disney trilogy, people who are like some of it, didn't like some of it, like me, or people who hated the Disney trilogy, I think everybody agrees. It represents one of the more divisive, maybe the most divisive thing in the Star Wars fandom, at least over the last 10 years. I mean, the prequels were their own thing, but now we've got these. And I really would have thought, and we talked about this before, that moving forward, you would want, if you were Lucasfilm, to move on from that and create separation from that and let that fade into memory and move on to new Star Wars stuff rather than reignite the divisiveness, reignite the polarization of it. Or maybe they see it as an opportunity to redeem, you know, the character or things or storylines they wanted to do with a lot of the fans. Regardless, many people like myself had a healthy scoop of skepticism that this would even happen because, you know, that's what Lucasfilm does. They announce movies that never get made. We've seen that happen a lot. A lot of projects been announced, never happened. It was like 3 years ago that they announced that Taika Waititi was doing a Star Wars movie. Still no script. I mean, so here we are. So I'll be honest with you. I didn't actually think this movie would ever happen. Well, according to reports, not only is it happening, it's happening a lot sooner than we thought, like in 4 months. This comes from some folks at CBR write the following. According to Production List, the Film and Television Industry Alliance's production tracking service, the untitled Star Wars movie, which will feature this big screen return of Daisy Ridley's Rey Skywalker, will begin shooting on April 7th in London, United Kingdom. The upcoming feature will be set 15 years after the events of 2019 Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, following Rey as she builds a new Jedi Order. Okay, couple things to dissect here. First, I want to talk about this. You know what? I don't mind what I'm hearing. Like, you already know all my apprehensions about the fact that they're even making this movie. Okay, fine. Let's put that aside for a second. The idea that it'll pick up not 5 years later, but 15 years later, that buys them some narrative distance between The Rise of Skywalker and what this new thing is. And I think having it be official that it will follow Rey as she builds a new Jedi Order, I think that's what a lot of people suspected something like this would be, but would also say to themselves, I'm probably not interested in this. I'm probably not going to like it. But if there's anything I would like them to do, it's probably building a new Jedi Order. Okay. So I as somebody who has my apprehensions about this movie even happening, I got to say, I like what I'm reading. 15 years later about rebuilding a Jedi Order. I like that. Shooting in April. I mean, that, like literally just a little over 4 months from now, they start shooting. And according to some reports that have been coming out, like some legit sources, they're saying this thing is already completely cast. They've got all their leads. They expect that they're going to be making the announcements of the leads before the end of the year.
How'd they shadow produce this? I mean, I feel like we've had more information on stuff that's been canceled than this.
Yeah.
Or was all that just the veil of the dark side? Was that the veil of the shadow of the dark side?
No, I think it's just been hiding in plain sight. Because, like, look, it's not like they just announced this movie, right? They announced this movie all the way back at Star Wars Celebration, or might even been a bit before that. So we've known this movie and theoretically, but people like me have been so convinced it's not a real thing and it wasn't going to happen that even if there was whispers and reports of going around, I wouldn't have heard it because I don't believe this is real. Well, it looks like it's real, and it looks like they're real serious about it, and it looks like it will be the next movie, because we know that James Mangold is nowhere close to doing his one. We know that Taika Waititi hasn't even done a script yet. We know the Kevin Feige thing probably isn't happening at all. The Patty Jenkins thing that a lot of us were pretty excited about seems to be gone like a fart in the wind. So, I mean, this is it. I mean, we could literally be looking at this movie coming out in 2025, which would be 7 years since the last Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
But I mean, sooner than, I would have guessed we wouldn't be getting another Star Wars movie to 26, 27. Guys, we want to take a moment and thank a sponsor of today's video, Mint Mobile. Give yourself the gift of insane savings this holiday season with Mint Mobile's best wireless deal of the year. Right now, when you switch to Mint Mobile and buy any 3-month plan, you'll get another 3 months for free. That's 6 months of premium wireless service for the price of 3. And Mint Mobile lets you order and activate from home while saving tons on phone plans starting at just $15 a month. Seriously, I can't think of a better gift than turning an overpriced wireless bill into just $15 a month with Mint Mobile. I've told you guys many times, since switching to Mint Mobile, I am spending less than a third on my mobile service plan with Mint than I was on the previous big carrier who was my provider. By going online only and eliminating the traditional cost of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily and effortlessly with eSIM. So again, for a limited time, buy any 3-month Mint Mobile plan and get 3 more months free by going to mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. Anyway, Chris, you hear this report. What stands out to you? Do you like what we're hearing? Are you as surprised as I am that they're moving on this so quickly? What do you think?
Luke, you're going to find that many of the truths we cling to depend greatly on our own point of view. I did not believe this movie was real. I did not believe this was happening because it's one of those things of we've been burned before, right? There were all these announcements and then there were all these cancellations, or there'd be an announcement and then just absolute crickets.
That's radio silence.
Exactly. Now, if this is what they're doing, great. I am not the biggest fan of the last 3 films. I'm one of the ones who really liked Last Jedi, and I know that upsets a lot of you. I'm so sorry. It's just my opinion.
Ooh, I'm so mad.
I really, really despised Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, me too.
It did not work for me. And if it's a movie that you all like, wonderful. But I do find it odd to continue off from something that was so mixed bag for most fans. That being said, Restoring the Jedi Order, there's a lot of really interesting stuff you can do there. There is enough time between these movies, right? We set it a decade apart. That's an interesting timeline to explore and see what's happening.
Age her up a little bit.
Exactly. My big concern, though, and it's always my concern when we are focusing on these kind of core Star Wars movies, is can we please move forward from the Skywalkers?
Right.
Well, no, because she's Rey Skywalker.
Well, now she's Rey Skywalker.
Yeah.
Can we please stop making this, great expectations? I don't want everyone interconnected. I don't want it so somebody else is somebody's great aunt or anything like that. I love the idea of meeting Force users who just happen to be gifted with the Force. And I'm hoping that that's what they pivot to instead of this kind of idea of legacy. Because I think
You're going to hate that she teams up with Obi-Wan's grandson. Sorry.
Oh, no.
I
mean, if I got Mara
Obi-4.
Jade in this and like some other cool
Obi-4.
characters or Satine, I'd be really happy. But I don't like this idea of legacy and lineage that much in Star Wars, because I feel like as a fantasy, because that's really what it is, right? At the end of the day, Star Wars isn't science fiction. It's fantasy dressed up as science fiction.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And so I love the idea of a fantasy having that kind of idea of a found hero, of the chosen one being somebody who is just picked up from obscurity. Because then you, the viewer, as so many of us felt when we saw Luke on Tatooine, go, I could be that. That could be me. I could be somebody who is worth more than what I think.
That was the point of him staring at the twin sons.
Yeah.
That was everyone's teen angst. Like, I
Yeah,
want to get out of here.
Yes. And we felt that with Rey at the beginning, of the idea of a nobody who like makes this great ascension. And the idea then that she was somebody's granddaughter, I don't know, it kind of deteriorated it all for me. So I'm hoping we can kind of reconcile some of that in a way that makes fans happy, that makes the franchise move forward, and we stop dwelling on the past. You have to let it die.
I was talking this morning before the show started with a friend of mine in the industry, and that they're like, I will bet you anything that Luke will be in the movie. because they're going to member berries the hell out of this. And I'm like, I don't know. He goes, look, I don't care what you think you've heard. I bet you anything they're going to have Luke's Force Ghost in it because they're going to want to member berry the hell out of this and blah, blah. And like, you know what? I never would have thought that for a second, but now that's all I'm going to be worried about between now and then.
Is that bad though? Because we got Obi-Wan was a
Yeah.
Force Ghost, and then Qui-Gon was his Force Ghost. I'm not opposed to that. I just don't want him to all of a sudden start fighting battles for her.
But
Yeah.
they were brief and
Yeah, no,
momentary,
but-
right?
Exactly that, but not over. Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't want him like
'cause
making eggs in the morning.
Like at the end of The Last Jedi or The Rise of Skywalker, which is so bad, they basically did a goodbye scene with Luke and Leia, basically kind of saying goodbye to Rey, right? So, I mean, I don't know. Look, all I'm going to say is this. I am pessimistic. I'm not going to pretend that I'm not. But, if they do a number of the things that Chris was just talking about, if you're really focusing on the challenges of raising a new Jedi Order, if you coincide that with a parallel of a reemergence of a Sith, there could be something there. I'm not saying it will, but I'm saying there could be something that could be kind of fun in this. There are paths to victory here. I'm skeptical, but there are paths to victory. And if they can crack the code and figure out a way to do it, there's not going to be many people that'll be happier about it than me. So here's kind of hoping. But guys, April, they start shooting this thing. So it's already cast, all this kind of stuff. We should be getting some announcements in the coming weeks because the cameras are going to roll soon. And let's see how it all turns out. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.